excited to be with you on this Monday afternoon, and I am here to read you the story A Big Quiet House, which is a Yiddish folktale from Eastern Europe, and it's retold by the author Heather Forrest and illustrated by Susan Greenstein. And after we have our story time, we're going to be able to learn some new ways to practice gratitude or Hakarat Hatov with Mavis and Emilia. Well, let's read our story first. There once was a man whose house was very small. It was cluttered with things from wall to wall. Every day he would say in a miserable way, "I need more room." One night he tossed and turned in his bed. His wife's snoring and his children's giggling annoyed him. He covered his ears and grumbled, "There is too much noise. If I had a big, quiet house, I'd be able to sleep." As he lay awake, he thought about the wise old woman who lived at the edge of the village. "Perhaps she can solve my problem," he muttered. He threw off his covers, jumped out of bed, and went to seek the wise old woman. He knocked impatiently at her door. She slowly opened it and said, "It's the middle of the night. Why are you here?" "I can't sleep," complained the man. "My wife snores the whole night through. My children annoy me by giggling too. What is a tired man to do? Can you possibly solve my problem? I need a big, quiet house." The old woman scratched her head. She considered a moment and then she said, "Solve your problem? Yes, I can. But first, I must think of a plan." Her face spread with a smile. "Go home and bring a big red chicken in the house with you," she suggested. "A chicken?" asked the man, a bit bewildered. I wonder what a chicken is going to do about a house. But he went home and did as she told him to. She was the wisest woman he knew. He caught his big, red, squawking chicken. He brought her into the kitchen and let her go. The chicken strutted under the table. "How is a chicken going to make my house bigger?" he wondered. He went to his room, climbed into his bed, pulled the covers to his chin, and tried to fall asleep. I wonder what's going to happen, friends. Meanwhile, the big red chicken crept out from under the table, wandered into the children's room, and began noisily pecking the son and daughter. "Ba-bok, ba-bok, ba-bok." The wife tumbled with a thump onto the floor and chased the chicken. That doesn't sound very quiet at all, does it? Feathers were flying. The children were crying. The wife was sighing, and the man couldn't sleep. He threw off his covers, jumped out of bed, and went to the wise old woman's house. He knocked impatiently at her door. She opened it and said, "It's the middle of the night. Go to sleep." "That's impossible," he moaned. "I brought a big, red, noisy chicken in the house with me. Feathers are flying. My children are crying. My wife is sighing, and I can't sleep. Can you solve my problem? I need a big, quiet house." The old woman said, "Solve your problem? Yes, I can. I just didn't tell you the whole plan." She considered a moment and suggested, "Now go home and bring a goat, a horse, a cow, and a sheep in the house with you." "A goat, a horse, a cow, and a sheep!" the man exclaimed. If someone told you to bring a goat, a horse, a cow, and a sheep into your house, do you think you would do it? Sounds a little silly to me. But he went home and did as she told him to do. She was the wisest woman he knew. He herded a goat, a horse, a cow, and a sheep into his house. Then, climbing clumsily over the animals, he got into his bed, pulled the covers to his chin, and tried to fall asleep. The sheep began to loudly sing, "Baa." The goat chimed in with a lively "Ma." The cow joined in with a melodious "moo." The horse snorted and grandly sang too, "Neigh, neigh, neigh." The singing and snorting woke the big red chicken, who wandered into the children's room and began noisily pecking the son and the daughter. "Ba-bok, ba-bok, ba-bok." The wife tumbled with a thump onto the floor and chased the chicken. Feathers were flying. The children were crying. The wife was sighing, and the man couldn't sleep. He threw off his covers, jumped out of bed, climbed over the animals, and went to the wise old woman's house. He knocked loudly on her door. She opened it and yawned. "It's the middle of the night. You should be asleep." "That's impossible," the man shouted. "How can I sleep with a chicken, a goat, a horse, a cow, and a sheep? There is no room to walk in my house anymore. Animals are everywhere, from wall to door. It is even noisier than before. Feathers are flying. My children are crying. My wife is sighing, and I can't sleep. You said you could solve my problem. I need a big, quiet house." The old woman replied, "Solve your problem? Yes, I can. I just didn't tell you the whole plan. Now put all the animals back where they belong." "Good idea," exclaimed the man. He went home, gathered the animals, and herded them all into the barn. Then he returned to his house and opened the door. To his amazement, his house was not small anymore. He stared with wonder at the rooms. Now that all the animals were gone, his house seemed so empty. It looked remarkably bigger. Do you think that anything has actually changed about the house, friends? I think now that all of those noisy animals that were taking up so much space are not in the home anymore, the man is able to appreciate what he had all along. He climbed into his bed and pulled the covers up to his chin. Without the singing and snorting of the animals in the next room, his house was so quiet. He could hear the gentle snoring of his dear wife beside him. He heard his children giggling too. These ordinary sounds were no longer noise. They were music to his ears. He smiled and thought, "What a big, quiet house. Next time I moan the whole day long, complaining about what is going wrong, I will stop and count my blessings first. You know, it could always be worse." And with a sigh, he fell asleep. So friends, that is a wonderful story to teach us a lesson about Hakarat Hatov, or recognizing the good. One of the ways we practice gratitude in our house is on Shabbat evening at dinner. Emilia goes around and she is in charge of having the gratitude finger. And so our family practices sharing the things that we're grateful for each week. We also wanted to share a little bit of a silly game that we first learned from the Bible players with you. So I'm going to tilt this down a little bit so that you can see that Emmy and Mavis are here. And here's what we're going to do. We are going to practice using that word todah that we learned last week. And Mavis and Emmy, what does the word todah mean?
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, so I'm going to give Emilia and Mavis something imaginary. And they are going to say todah for whatever it is they imagine I give them. Are you ready to play? All right, here we go. Mavis, here you go.
Todah for the new car.
Ooh, you're welcome for the new car. I know you like going on wonderful adventures. Are you ready, Emilia? All right, here you go, Emmy.
Thank you for the new baby sister in a box with 100 cats.
A new baby sister in a box. Oh my goodness, I never would have expected to be giving you that present, but I'm glad you're enjoying that new baby. And 100 cats too. We're going to be very busy. Well, my friends, I hope that you find lots of ways to show gratitude, Hakarat Hatov, this week, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.